Hi everyone, welcome to Sewing with Romney. It is Me May Day number 7. I just wanted to show you again the dress that I had made because we're going to make this today. I made 2 versions and we're going to make a 3rd version. This was from a dress out of my closet. This is the one that was made with bally fabric. And then you can just put the little jacket over it, which everybody seemed to love, that you could wear a little jacket. This one has more of a, it's still a U neck, but it's somewhat a V neck. So you can kind of make the neck whatever way you want. There we go, there's that dress. And this is the 2nd version. I got this fabric from Wild Bobbin. It's A-line, same exact dress, just different fabric. And I have a little cover up here that you can actually put on. And I want to make one of these too. I want to do a video on how to make these. These are great. So this looks like it's long sleeve now. It just makes it into a completely different dress. Okay, this one, if you do want to wear it without the shawl, I did put binding here, so that finishes it off. I left the binding on the inside here. I kind of folded it underneath. But if you want, you can have binding showing here. It's all up to you. This one is a little bit more well-rounded, kind of V as well, but you can shape the neck however you want. And this is the dress I took the pattern off of. It's an A-line. It's a little bit big, so you could take it in. This I bought at a thrift shop a couple of years ago. But it is one of my favorite dresses because it is kind of looser, very comfortable. But yeah, you could have it more fitted to your body. There is sleeves on it. I left the sleeves off, but you could definitely put a sleeve on. This one has a layered sleeve, which I really like. So I might show that in another video. But today we're gonna do the ones that I did already that are sleeveless. Okay, here we go. So this is the fabric I chose. It's a Bridgerton fabric. It's inspired by the Bridgerton show on Netflix by Blackbird Designs, and I bought it at Wild Bobbin downtown Kingston. Okay, so you're gonna grab an old white sheet. The other thing you could use is construction paper. However, a lot of construction paper and pattern paper is expensive, but construction paper, you can't get it really big. Sometimes you have to tape pieces, which is fine if that's what you have. But just try and use an old sheet, and then you want to iron it, which I've ironed this even though it doesn't look like it's ironed. I did. And then you take your dress that you want to make a pattern off of. This is with any kind of dress. And you turn it inside out. Okay? And you're going to turn the sleeves inside out too, even though we're not doing sleeves in this video. So you got your dress inside out now. Okay? You're going to take your seams here, and you're going to flatten those out. And then you're going to do the same on the other side. And you're going to just lay it flat like that. You don't have to worry about the sleeves because we're not doing sleeves in this video. So, just going to move that back a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so now you're going to take a pen or a pencil. A pen's probably better. You don't have to worry about getting this fabric marks on it because you are actually, this is just your pattern, so you don't have to worry about it, right? So you are going to start marking here, and you're going to have a seam allowance. So you're just going to mark all the way down, all the way around. I would bring it down at the bottom. You want to maybe do 1.5 inches beyond what's there. Then when you come up here around the sleeve, you can tuck your sleeve over here like this if you want. And then you can just come up here, and then you go around here like this. And then you go up above here, and you just literally trace it around. So you just basically trace that around with maybe 1/2 inch seam allowance. This dress was a little bit big on me, so I kind of traced it around the exact same size, and then I just gave it a little bit more length. So that's how you trace it out, and then you just cut it out. Now you should end up with a piece of fabric that's in your sheet like this, okay? So that's what your dress is gonna look like. And how many do you cut? You cut 2. I'm calling this my sandwich dress because it's so easy. Something that's important to look at. So if I show you on this side, you'll see it easier. This is the selvage here. So you always want to have that on the side, and then this will be the top of your dress, okay? Because there's a little bit of stretch there. If you turn it around and have the dress going this way, there's no give, and it's really taut. And it's very hard with certain fabrics, especially this one, to fit into it properly. It'll be too tight on you. You really need to do where there's a bit of a stretch here, okay? So make sure you have this on the side. So now I've got my fabric folded, because here's the fold over here, because I want to cut 2, right? So you fold it, and then you're going to cut 2, this exact same, because in the front we will cut down the neckline later. Well, I'll show you. Now this comes off a tiny bit here because the fabric's only that wide. That's okay, doesn't matter. I'm gonna actually taper this a little bit and come down, and then you won't even notice it. So now you're gonna cut that out, okay, all around. So it doesn't really matter where you start cutting. I'm gonna start over here. Remember, your seam allowance is already added onto it, so you do not have to add any more. Keep cutting until you go all the way around. So it's all cut out now. You just peel back your pattern, and there is your dress, okay? Now, in order for you to get it equal on both sides, you want to make sure that you fold it in half now. And you can see that these are really good here. And you want to make sure the neckline is good as well. Okay, so that's good. That's a couple of little spots here. I have to just trim a little bit just to make it perfect. And then now we're going to work on this. So you're probably wondering, how are we going to fix this? Because this is, some of this will go in the seam allowance though. But I'm going to put this right to the end here because it has to be perfectly symmetrical, correct? All right, that's good there. I can see there's a little bit of here, so I'm going to come along here, okay? This one isn't going to flare out as much as the other ones, but that's fine. It's still going to be gorgeous. There you go. So that one will come down more. It won't flare out as much at the bottom, but it'll still be awesome. Okay, so now what do you do next? You have to make sure you put your right sides together. Now I could have cut this out the opposite way so that I wouldn't have to flip these around, if you know what I mean. So now you're just going to put that one there. You're not going to cut your neckline or anything yet. You're just going to do this part first. Okay? This is literally how easy this dress is to make. So you are going to match up your sides. You're going to sew the top here. So you're going to sew across here. You're going to sew across here. You're going to obviously leave this open, this circle part here, because that's where your arm's going to come through. If you sewed that shut, you wouldn't get your arm in your dress, right? So this is beginner sewing, so that's why I'm telling you these things that some of you may know. And then you're going to sew from here all the way down to the bottom, okay, on both sides. So we're going to go do that right now. Okay, so here's your dress, there's your neckline, you're going to just sew up here on the shoulder. Just doing a back stitch. Sometimes you can use the fix it button and that works too. I find sometimes the back stitch gets it even more secure. So just want to make sure this is pulled together. Now you can use pins if you want or clips, but I sometimes don't use them. And whatever seam allowance you want to do, you know, you got to kind of figure that out. I just go the width of my foot and a little tiny bit more, but a lot of sewing patterns have 5/8 of an inch, and there's different measurements down here that you can look at. I tend to just use, if you've done 1/2 inch seam allowance, then this is probably 1/4 inch. Okay, and then the thing is, we're just learning how to sew. We don't have to be perfect. I was taught to be perfect in everything, and you've got to measure everything. And sometimes that becomes very frustrating. You want to just get sewing. Just practice on muslin if you want. You don't want to ruin your new beautiful fabric. That's what I would do. Even use a sheet again. Cut it out with a sheet. Do the sheet, see if that fits you, and then make some alterations to your pattern. So I already made my pattern, so I know that my pattern will fit me and what my seam allowance should be. Okay, so I've got both of those shoulders done now, up here. Okay, and I'm using, my machine automatically goes to 2.5, but you could do 3 if you wanted. I find when I sew this kind of fabric, though, I use 2.5. This machine, actually, you can change it to all different kinds of fabrics, and then it will sew it as to what the recommendations are. So my machine is a Husqvarna Opal 690Q. I absolutely love it. I always sew it with this open. Most people sew it with it closed, but I just like this open so I can see that my thread and everything is working okay. All right, so just went back stitched again. Now I'm just sewing up the sides. Once in a while you want to check and just make sure that you got this perfectly sandwiched together, right? I'm going to show you what the fix it button does. So I get to the end and I just do fix, and it kind of does like a little back stitch, but just a couple. It doesn't go as far as when you press that button. So there's 2 ways you can do it, but I do use the fix it quite often if you don't want to back stitch a lot. Okay, so get rid of all these threads. Try and get rid of them as you go along. So there's a thread cutter over here on the side of your machine. There's often a thread cutter up here as well, but when you're sewing down here, you want your use that thread cutter. When you're doing your bobbin, you want to use this thread cutter, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to sew the other side, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. We're going to actually try it on. This is the exciting part. This is how fast this is to make. Now just make sure that your thread is, or your foot is down, and that your fabric is down, and that it's not flopping around like it was just then for me. Okay, now we're just going to sew this side down. There we go. So we've got the shoulders sewn on either side, not doing any of the neckline, okay? You see that and that, and then the sides are done, okay? On both sides, from the bottom of the arm to the bottom. We'll hem it at the very end, okay? There you go, all done. Okay, so here it is. I'm very happy with how this turned out. This one has a very high neck. I actually really like the neck high like that. So I'm just gonna tuck it under twice, and I'm gonna sew a very, very narrow hem there. So you just tuck it under so you don't see any raw edge, and you just sew around there. And I'm gonna do the same with the sleeves. You just tuck it once and tuck it twice. That I do pin, so you need to pin that all the way around. And then you can see how long it is. I like the length, but I'm gonna have to hem it a bit. So I'm probably gonna use my overlock stitch on the bottom here and just turn it up once. This fabric though is quite thin, so no, I think I'm gonna just do the two and just a very, very narrow little hem there. I do find it a bit big, so I'm gonna take it in a tiny bit here. And then the back. Now, if you're really picky and you're an advanced sewer, you're gonna say you need darts there, which I know how to do, but we're doing beginner sewing, so I wouldn't worry about it. You can also put ties here and then tie it to the back. Like, remember those dresses we used to have the ties? They still make them like that. Anyways, there's lots of different options you can do, but this is the easiest dress that you can make. So easy. Anyways, I will finish it and then I'll show it to you. So for me, it fits up in this bust area perfectly well, so I'm not going to alter that part of it at all. Otherwise it will be too small. The only part I need to kind of alter, but I'll come down to about here. I'm gonna come in a little bit with my sewing, just a tiny bit, and taper it down to here. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. You could measure it if you want, which I'm gonna actually do. I'm probably gonna measure down to about here, and then I'm gonna measure down the same side there, and I'm gonna put a pin there and a pin here. And then I'm probably just gonna taper it to about here. I think that's the area that I really need to taper it in a tiny little bit. If you don't have a ruler, you can use a ribbon. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's the same on both sides. The other option is you can fold it in half, okay? Because your dress is exactly the same on both sides. It's a mirror of itself, correct? So you're gonna fold it in half like this. This is actually a faster, easier way to do it. I'm gonna put my pin here, up underneath. And I'm gonna put my pin here, because this is about where I should go. If you wanted to, you could put your dress on and actually pin it on and see like where you need to alter it. However, I kind of know how dresses fit me, so I know exactly where I needed to pin it. Okay, I'll be back with that and I'll show you what the sewing line looks like. Now, this is where you're gonna start, because this is the top of the dress, okay? And you're gonna start right where you sewed that line already, and you're gonna start coming out. So you do not wanna just start out here, because you're gonna have a big pucker there. You need to start on the line you already sewed, and then you taper it out. So I'm gonna sew directly on the line, and I'm gonna press my fix it. That locks it in place, okay? And then I'm gonna start tapering it out. Just a tiny bit at a time. You don't need to come out a lot. If you saw what patterns look like, if you've ever looked at patterns, you can see there's a very, very slight difference in sizes. So if I come out any more than that, I think it's gonna be too small on me. So I'm just coming out just a little bit. And I see my other needle coming up now, and I'm gonna taper it back in again, okay? So this is gonna have more of a kind of hourglass feel to it. There we go. I'm coming back down into my needle, and I'm You don't want to sew over your needle. I never do that. Some people say that's okay, but I don't like doing that. You wreck your needle and then you got to change it. Sometimes you can actually break your needle off, which is horrible. It won't fly out at you because it's usually attached to your thread still, but it's still not something you want to happen, because you don't want to break your machine or have a piece of needle stuck in the bottom of your machine. Okay, so then you're going to press the fix it button, or you just back stitch. Okay, now my cutter has been used so much it doesn't work so great right now, so I have to lift my foot up and do the regular cutting of my thread, just like everybody else's machines. So if you can see, I tapered it in just a little bit. If you can see that second line. Yeah, so we're going to do the same on the other side, and then I will show you the fit. Okay, so I took it in, I tried it back on again. It fits awesome. It's not tight to my body. It's got a little bit of a flow to it. You don't want it to be too tight on you. Has a little bit of fabric in the back. I'll show you at the end of the video what it looks like on. That you could do some darts if you wanted to. I'm not going to bother because I'm probably going to wear a little jean jacket over it anyways. And I don't mind that there's a little bit of fabric in the back. This is just beginner stuff that I want you guys to learn, okay? So, the neckline now. I don't have that cut very well, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do a very, very small little tuck under here. Okay, see how that's like that? But you do not want a raw edge, okay? Raw edge to show. So you want to turn it one more time. So you're going to turn it again, okay? So you're going to have a nice finished edge there. It's going to be like finished inside. This dress is not lined. You could line this dress if you wanted to, and then you would do it in a different way. However, this fabric is nice and light, and we have very, very hot summers here in Ontario. So the thinner, the better, I think. You cannot see through this material. If you can see through your material, you might have to line it though, okay? All right, we're gonna do that with the arms as well. So the exact same technique with the arms. And the other thing is I'm gonna pin it all the way around, and then I'm gonna iron it down, and then we're gonna sew it, okay? Okay, so I lied. I did not pin it, even though you should, but this fabric is so amazing. This is the Bridgerton fabric. It's cotton, but it has a kind of softness to it, so it really irons well. And like, I don't even have to pin it now, so I'm just going to sew around the neckline and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so that neckline is completed. You can see the sewing marks there. Now I could have used a 3, but I did use 2.5. It's better if you use a 3, and I'll show you why, because here I just forgot to change it to 3. See how it's a little bit puckery? But that's okay. I'm going to iron that down and just kind of ease it, and it'll be totally fine. But if you did a 3, you probably wouldn't have some of that puckering happening. Just means the tension is a little bit tighter. Okay, so now I have them all ironed down. They've been turned under twice. As you can see here, I'm going to turn it this way so you can see. Turned under twice, and then since I ironed it, all that puckering is gone. I'm just going to show you the other arm how the puckering looked, because I did it at 2.5 again. I forgot to change it to 3, but whatever. So you see how that's a little bit puckered, but that's okay. When you use a steam iron on it, it will open up the fabric fibers and they will sit nice and flat. I use polyester thread rather than cotton, because cotton might break if you pull on it too much, but the polyester never really breaks. It can break your fabric if you pull on it too much, but I don't really pull on it. I just gently ease it with a steam iron. And then I'm going to show you also the bottom. So when you do your seams, you want to iron the sides as well, right? Open, and then you tuck it under twice. And that one's just a little bit thicker. Okay, all the way around. You just find your spot, and you want to definitely be as straight as you can. You're not going to notice little things. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to learn how to sew and make a dress, okay? And so I'm going to go iron the whole thing, including the sides. I just wanted to show you at the top too, I ironed that open as well, so that when you turn it under, that's ironed open here. Now, this isn't finished with a serger or anything. You could do a zigzag on that if you want, or you could have done an overlock stitch, but you would have done that before. But this dress is only for me. I'm not selling this dress or anything, so I'm just going to leave that. And if it frays, you can use some stuff that you can get at Fabricland. It's kind of like a glue. You wouldn't want to get it on your dress, but it's a fray thing that you can kind of put along the edge as well. But I don't find my stuff really frays that badly. It depends on what kind of fabric it is. This fabric's pretty good. It's definitely not going to fray here because it's tucked underneath. I'm just talking about the sides and then the shoulders, right? But it'll be fine. This fabric is not really a fabric that would fray a lot. So anywho, I'm going to go get it on and I'm going to show you what it looks like in the end. Okay, everyone, so here's the big reveal. This is the same exact dress. I took it in a little bit. I didn't want to take it in anymore because I like having a bit of room. The sleeves are just turned under twice and sewn, and the neck, I left it high. I really like it like that. And you could wear a really cool necklace or a choker with that even, right? So I'm very happy with this one as well. It goes more like a bell rather than going out. It goes kind of in because I did make those adjustments because of the fabric. And there is some roominess in the back, so you could put darts in it if you want, if you know how to do that. And again, if you don't like that it's a little bunchy in the back, you can wear a jean jacket with it. So all you do is pop on your little jean jacket and you're ready to go. Whether you want your collar up or your collar down. Well, I'm from the 80s. We used to wear our collars up. Okay, and then I love this color, this blue. Anyways, this is a lighter blue, so you could still do this one with it if you wanted, right? Any jean jacket looks nice with these kind of dresses. I think I like the first jacket better. And remember we had the little black cover up. So some people just don't like their arms showing, right? I don't mind my arms showing, but some people really want to have sleeves. You can put sleeves on the dress, or you can make one of these, which I'm going to show in another video how to make that. Because you could actually make the sleeves this way instead of attaching them, and then you can take it on or off. I hope you like it. Just it's really great to be able to show people how to sew. It's one of my passions, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me for Me Made May 2026, and you have an awesome day.